The Meatheads Podcast. Welcome to this shithole of extravaganza.
It's going down today. I didn't even know, but we're talking about aliens, and I'm stoked about that.
Aliens is the broad subject. More specifically, it's the that Pentagon program that they just came out with. What's it called? The Advanced Aerospace Threat Identification Program.
That sounds so badass.
Yeah. It's really, for aerial anomalies, quote unquote.
Right.
So, yeah. But before we get started, I hear you guys have some interesting...
Should we talk about that first? I'm down.
Yeah, let's do it.
Well, let's start with Lily, because that happened like a long time ago.
We can do one first and then another after.
Yeah, I'm down. Well, I mean, when you said like aerial anomaly, when I saw that fucking UFO in like whatever 2013 or something like that, because I believe it's just after gradding, I think. That's pretty much what it was. I was like, that's got to be some fucking aerial anomaly if I ever heard of one.
Sounds about right.
Yeah, I mean, like, goddamn, I hate going over the story so many times, but it was like basically just chilling on the back porch of a buddy's place, drinking some beer, smoking some weed, and then I like look up in the sky, and it's kind of dusk, and it looked like a star just chilling there, and I thought it was Venus because it was like pretty bright, but it wasn't flashing at all. And so I looked at it for like 10 or 15 seconds, and then it slowly dimmed out completely and I couldn't see it anymore. And then it like a few seconds later it came back and got brighter and got super bright and just went fucking Star Trek and zoomed off. Like, it cleared the skyline in like under 2 seconds, whereas it was so fast. Like, it was literally like, if I was the government and I saw that, I would want a fucking space program, some program to figure out what the hell is going on in the sky.
Yeah, no kidding.
And I think like the common thing when you hear people that have these experiences, like they just because you can see like blogs online and stuff, and people talk about it, and it's basically just like firsthand accounts of people what they saw. And that, like, I think the most interesting thing to me is not people that are claiming like, oh, there's aliens under the earth, or aliens are visiting us, or we are aliens that were made from the aliens that came from Mars, or things like that. But like just people's firsthand accounts of what they've seen, and like with no judgment. They're not saying it was the government or it was aliens or whatever, but just saying this is what I saw. And you get enough of those and it gets super interesting, where it becomes something that's like, it's almost studyable,
right?
Because you can see the commonalities in the stories, and like with what is really common in all the sightings.
So based off of what you saw, what specifics can you give? I know you just told the story, but without actually coming to any sort of judgment based off of things that you don't know, can you actually I don't know, what do you think?
But I think the most interesting thing for me, like, because we were talking about this, is I would assume it's some crazy high-tech spy plane, but the fact that it was a light rules that out. If it was a spy plane, it wouldn't have a light on it, unless somehow they had this crazy technology where you needed to have a light on it before it goes super zero gravity fly away mode. But when it flew away, it was a light still. It was, in that sense, it looked like a shooting star, where it just shot off with this like beam of light. But why, if it was a spy plane, why the hell would it have a light on it?
Yeah. And I seem to remember last time we were talking about this, when you were explaining it to me for a while, I was thinking that it probably was a shooting star, but then you said something which kind of ruled that out in my mind as well. What was
just
that?
Like the fact that it was stationary for so goddamn long. Like, it was 100% still for a good 15 seconds. I'd say maybe even more, because I don't know how long it was there before I saw it. I just look over and it looked like Venus, and it was just sitting there stationary for so long, and then it completely dims, goes out, comes back in the exact same spot. It hadn't moved at all. And so like I was just like so confused when it went out, like when it completely dimmed. So I just looked at the sky, comes back in the exact same spot and zooms away. It was like zero. It's like the most unexplainable thing I've ever experienced. Like, where you just have zero explanation for it. And like, it almost makes me want to say, fuck, it's just aliens, but like, you don't know. So, but I think, Lily, I think the thing that you saw is more like could be a spy plane.
Yeah, but it still had lights on it.
It had lights on it?
Yes. It had 3 lights on it.
Fuck.
Can you give this story right from the beginning? Can you actually move close?
So I guess I was in middle school, maybe like in grade 6, and my friend Jem and I had like a trampoline outside, and we did like always go play on it at like 3 a.m. or whatever in the middle of the summer.
Fucking rebels.
Yeah, we were like up really late. We'd always have like salt and vinegar, lime and black pepper, Miss Vicky's chip,
Nice.
and like
Miss
a
Vicky's
2 liter,
quality.
and then like candy or
Nice
and
plug
stuff.
for Miss Vicky's, by the way.
I actually got like chubby as hell.
Fuck yeah.
We like went outside to play, and we both like look up in the sky, and then there's this like triangle shaped fucking plane, almost like an arrow, I guess, and it like flew over it was like in front of the moon.
Yeah, like covered up the moon.
It covered up the moon, so it had to be close and big enough to do that.
Or far away and really big.
Yeah, because it looked pretty far away, but like I could see the underneath of it, and it had like lights on the points, and I think in the middle or
Kind
something.
of like a triangle.
Pardon?
Like a triangle, sort of.
Yeah, kind of. But it was kind of like an arrow. It was like a weird fucking, who knows?
See, to me, that sounds like a spy plane. Sounds like a crazy. But then again, why the lights? That doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
If you're a spy plane, you're not going
And
to
it
have
also
lights.
was silent.
Yeah, no noise.
Didn't make a noise.
Same with mine. Zero noise, zero anything.
It just like seemed to float over the moon like E.T. It was like motherfucking E.T.
Yeah, mine was like motherfucking Star Trek. That's what I'm
Yeah.
telling you. It's like real life sci-fi when people talk about this shit.
Yeah. But like we both remember it.
And people seeing lights teleport, like similar to what I saw, where mine could have zoomed off to another area and just went completely still over there. I can't say, but I have heard people personally as well as online talk about basically that, where they see a light and it jumps from one part of the sky to the other. But anyways, yeah.
Like, yeah, Lily, your experience, it kind of does sound like a spy plane. There's the particular ones which are that shape. They're black, and the reason that they have the lights on them is because they're not meant to be necessarily invisible to the human eye so much as radar.
Oh, right. That makes sense.
And so the way that they're built and the material.
Show me the pictures. Give me the receipts.
Yeah.
I can show you the pictures. I have a book on it somewhere.
Well, I'm gonna look it up.
You know, I've heard of those for sure. But
yeah, they're the radar reflecting planes.
My question would be, why would they be using them here? Or
it's probably just an American one flying over Canadian airspace for fun.
But why did it go over the moon? I've looked at an airplane.
Over the moon?
Well, that's
like,
kind of just
no, but I've looked at an airplane and it like I saw it like kind of like go neat like over the moon.
Like it floated over the moon,
no,
or not? Like I mean, covered it up and it stayed there for a bit.
No,
it just went right over.
No, it like wasn't like that though, kind of.
So right now I'm looking up a picture of what's it called?
Do you ever vape and like it feels like it's not pulling enough? Like, and it kind of almost,
you just gotta like.
It almost goes back into it.
Vape life.
Vape problems.
I don't know. I don't know what that means.
Yeah, I know. It was doing it yesterday, and it almost had a burny taste after a bit of doing it.
Oh, so this plane's called an F-117.
Okay, let me look it up.
So anybody else can find it if they like.
Okay, my phone's like fucking
That's
stupid.
interesting. I think it does make a lot of sense that if say the U.S. government was testing them, it wouldn't test them in its own airspace, or it could. It could be like a blind test.
But at the same time, those planes have been around since the 80s, so I don't see why they would be testing over here, anyways.
Right. But I mean, just to like,
it's not exactly new tech,
and see like if the Canadian government is like, hey, what the fuck are you doing in our airspace? It'd be like, oh shit, we need to work on our.
That does sound something like the Americans would do.
Right. I mean, but then at the same time, if that's the case, they could also just do it in their own airspace, and then their own radio towers would be like, what the fuck is this? And then they'd see that it didn't work. With less risk and diplomatic bullshit to go through than if they did it to a different government.
Yeah, they can just do that in the South too. Everybody already thinks that they're testing UFOs
like,
anyway.
Swamp gas, it's swamp gas. Shoot it.
Drain the swamp.
Shoot it.
Anyways, let's get started on this Pentagon program here.
Wait, Lily. So is that it?
No.
Oh, you got more?
No, it's fine.
What?
But I don't think this is it.
No.
Oh, you don't think it's it?
No.
Okay.
But like, so you guys both saw it though.
Yeah.
And like at the time, what did you do?
We're like,
You
you want
giggled?
to go inside? Yeah. And we
What?
like ran inside really fast.
Really?
And we're just like, oh, what the fuck was that? And then we like ate more chips and forgot about it.
That's classic. Yeah, me, I literally just kept on kind of going about my night, and I was just thinking about it.
Well, it's like, what else can you do? Like,
Exactly. That's the thing. And I was literally thinking to myself, like, if I go and like talk about this a bunch to random people, or even like, people you just start sounding crazy at some point. And you don't want to just be like pushing that, but
Yeah.
at the same time, you like
Bit
kind
of
of
a
want to
stigma.
know. You definitely want to know. Yeah, and I think a lot of people that are in like professional life, they don't want to come out with certain experiences because they get screwed over sometimes. They just look like a nut, like especially with academia where there's so much credibility involved, and then they start saying they've seen fucking ghosts or their house is haunted or something stupid like that, and everyone just but like again, if people have a personal experience and that's what they believe they experienced, they should be able to talk about it without like their career being
Jeopardized. Yeah.
jeopardized.
I think that
because
was one of the points, the purposes of this Pentagon program, actually.
right.
So that, well, specifically pilots, if they ever encountered something that they couldn't necessarily explain, quote unquote aerial anomaly, then they could report it to these guys, and
Right.
they would, like, I don't know what they would do other than just write it down, take a full report,
Right.
and
Well,
study it, and if there's video, then do that, but do what they can, but
Right.
as far as I know, they haven't come up with anything solid.
Right. Interesting, because I know that was a big thing during the Second World War and a bit after, was that a ton of pilots were reporting really weird stuff, and they're these people are really good pilots. They know what a plane looks like, and they know
They're supposed to shoot them down.
exactly.
Right? So-
Like they're these people know what they're doing, and then all of a sudden they see something that they can't explain. Like it's pretty insane.
Yeah. So So the Advanced Aerospace Threat Identification Program, we'll just call it AAI or AATIP, AATIP. AATIP sounds better.
Mm-hmm.
So it got about $22 million in annual U.S. Defense Department spending,
Which is, I saw some
that's
people
a lot.
bitching about that, but like millions is just like.
well, $22 million to you and I is a lot of money, but then
Right.
compared to the $600 billion
Yeah.
Pentagon budget,
Yeah, when you compare
it's
that's basically what the U.S. government costs on like fixing light bulbs.
Yeah.
In a week, basically. You know?
Yeah. And so
paying
this
some
specific
idiot to-
$22 million was
No,
actually
do you hear about
buried in the
Right.
budget.
Did you
So
hear
it's
about
really hard
that
to find.
specific case, like the airline, and they took out one pickle from the particular sandwich, and it saved them like hundreds of thousands of dollars just
That's
on the
amazing.
pickles. So like cutting down those like minor costs. But yeah, it gets expensive fast, especially with stuff like this.
Yeah. So officially speaking, this program ran from 2007 to 2012, at which point the funding was cut, but it apparently still runs in an unofficial capacity. It was actually the New York Times that shed light on its existence through an exclusive report, and so credit where it's due, thanks to the New York Times.
Fuck yeah.
And the Pentagon officially acknowledged its existence on the 16th of December, and I think it was a spokesman came out and just did a little short press conference, as far as I understand it.
Right.
So, Louis Elizondo, is it Louis or Louis? I don't know. Of the military intelligence was the head of the program, and apparently, while the funding ended in 2012, those officials who ran it when it was being funded continued to do so, albeit in addition to their other jobs that they had within the Pentagon.
Right. So they're kind of
kinda
doing it like by
this-
passion now. These guys want to find those
Exactly.
fucking aliens.
probably doing it on their breaks. Or
That's what I'm
after
talking
hours
about.
or whatever.
That's like most of those societies are just like non-profits running off of the funds of their members and, doing very ghetto research.
Yeah.
But it's cool. They've got all the data there for them, right?
Mm-hmm.
Is it becoming open source so anyone can go look through it? Because
I
that'd
don't
be
think so.
interesting. Huh.
I
Maybe
think maybe some of it is, but
Right.
yeah, I'll get to that later. So at the time, the Senate Majority Leader, his name is Harry Reid, was the one who initially requested the program be put in place. It was his interest in the phenomena in outer space which spurred the initiative, and one aerospace research firm headed by Robert Bigelow, a friend of Reed's, received a large portion of the program funding. Bigelow and his firm now work with NASA on unrelated projects. However, he has been quoted professing certainty in the existence of aliens and past instances of visiting Earth.
Interesting.
So I don't put a whole lot of stock into that. It's just one guy,
an individual,
even if he's filthy rich. But
yeah, I hate that people say, "Oh, this astronaut says they believe in aliens." Yeah, sure, it's an astronaut. They're really good at that, but it's still just one person. You need the fucking evidence. You can't just have the testimony of one person. No. But you can listen to some of the Apollo things, and they're freaking out about like weird noises or
they're watching
seeing things. Yeah, that is fucking terrifying.
What Apollo things?
There's an actual recording of one of the Apollo missions, and what do they say?
I'm paraphrasing here, but something like we see them across the crater, they're watching us.
What?
They're freaking out when
they're on the moon, and they say we see them across the crater, they're watching us, and it's something like that.
There's also when they're still in the craft, and they said like they started hearing really weird, they got weird transmissions that they couldn't explain, and they weren't sure if it was like electromagnetics.
Obviously, there's aliens.
Yeah, but they're like, you're going to the moon, we're going to send you a little transmission.
Well, maybe they're just getting passed through,
Right.
I think we're going to have to talk about the existence of aliens after we do this program thing.
Yeah.
So stick around for that.
Yeah, fuck yeah.
Okay, so amongst other things, the program issued reports dealing with the UFO phenomena, specifically those that moved at astounding speeds or hovered in midair without any apparent means of doing so.
Exactly what I think probably both of us saw.
Yeah, so the program officials also study video recordings of military aircraft encounters with such objects. The three senators who supported the budget for the program, Harry Reid, Ted Stevens, and Daniel K. Inouye, I think that's how I pronounce it, were the only ones who knew about the enterprise in the Senate, except for the people who ran the program.
Right.
They ensured that it was listed as a black budget program and was not subject to public debate in the Senate. All three were convinced of its worth.
Interesting. Wait, so how does that work? An individual Senate member can just introduce a bill that goes into the budget?
I don't know how that works.
That's really interesting. Because a few of them knew about it, but somehow it got put into the budget and funded.
I suppose they were already on the Defense Committee.
Right.
And
so they just kind of deal with that portion of it.
No, I'm speculating here. Somebody who knows more about how the Senate committees work might be able to shed light on this. So comment if you like.
But those guys, if
there's
people
three guys,
want to look into those three people, they probably have proof.
I think two of them are dead.
Oh shit!
What?
They're killing them off.
No,
how did they die? How did they die? We need to look into it.
Pretty sure
Heart
old
attack?
age.
What?
Old age. I'm not sure.
That's less fun.
Well, I did just say their names. It's Harry Reid, Ted Stevens, and Daniel K. Inouye.
That's very interesting.
Who's the dead ones?
Ted Stevens and Inouye.
Look up the other guy that's alive. Or I guess see how the other two died. They're probably old, though. They're all old.
Yeah. So Elizondo, who was the head of the program.
Ted Stevenson?
Ted Stevens.
Ted Bundy?
Wait, are we talking about Ted Bundy?
So Louis Elizondo, who was the head of the program, after the funding ended in 2012, he since worked with other similarly interested people in both the Navy and the CIA. He worked from his own Pentagon office until October of 2017, at which point he resigned over the secrecy and lack of initiative surrounding the program. He has, however, pointed out that he has an unnamed successor as head of the program. So Bigelow Aerospace, and remember this is headed by Robert Bigelow, who is a friend of Harry Reid's. Bigelow Aerospace ran as part of the program through subcontractors and researchers, storing physical evidence it found in a building it owned in Las Vegas. So this is interesting. This included materials found at the crash site of unknown objects.
Was he murdered?
Other research was conducted in regard to those who came into initial contact with unknown objects, including physiological exams. Military service members who sighted strange aircraft were also important sources for the program. Now, Lily,
wait, so I think we got some breaking news here.
He died in an airplane crash.
Airplane crash.
Ted Stevens, eh?
Yeah.
I bet you aliens took it down.
It was aboard some Canada Otter plane when it crashed about 17 miles north of Alaska. Well,
Alaska?
en route to a private fishing lodge.
Yeah, he was an Alaska senator, so it's not surprising that he was in Alaska.
Right, and flying shitty planes.
Oh, everyone knew it was Uncle Ted.
Aw. Okay, that basically
Cute.
proves
Like-
it for me.
Yeah, he fucking...
Come on.
He was also a pilot in World War II.
You think he would crash a plane?
If
He's from
really
Alaska.
old.
Yeah, and you're in Alaska on a very small plane, probably
Yeah.
terrible weather.
Yeah.
And you're old as shit. Was
yeah,
he even
or
flying it?
fucking
Was
the
he
government
flying?
just gets you out.
Yeah,
It
they
didn't
probably
say.
started transmitting fake coordinates into his brain, and he crashed it.
Anyway, so I've got this really interesting
Probably.
quote from the New York Times. It's quoting Robert Bigelow. So, from the New York Times, internationally, we are the most backward country in the world on this issue, Mr. Bigelow said in an interview. Our scientists are scared of being ostracized and our media is scared of the stigma. China and Russia are much more open and work on this with huge organizations within their countries. Smaller countries like Belgium, France, England, and South American countries like Chile are more open too. They are.
I think Chile's got the biggest radio satellite in the world. They're getting really into that. I think it's Chile.
But they are proactive and willing to discuss this topic rather than being held back by a juvenile taboo. And I think he's referring to the taboo of, if you see a UFO, you're automatically branded as sort of lunatic.
Interesting.
Which is unfortunate. I mean,
it's weird that America, when you think of space and that kind of technology, you think of America. But on the issue of aliens, you do as well, but more in that silly conspiracy theory sense and not taking it seriously.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So in 2009, Harry Reid was reportedly so astonished with the program's findings that he requested heightened security. In the request letter to the top Pentagon official, he stated that the USA was not capable of defending itself from some of the technology discovered, and it must therefore be protected. Ultimately, this request was not successful. So I'm thinking this suggests two things. First, that Reid seriously thought this stuff was dangerous, and second, that the Pentagon did not.
Right.
So it's an interesting little disagreement right there.
Right. But that's weird that they're not really distinguishing between it. They're not talking about aliens here. They're just talking about crazy technology in a sense, right? They haven't said anything about aliens.
Yeah, we have to be clear that this program is focusing on technology that it does not know,
Right.
or does not
or
understand.
it just sees like. Yeah. That's so strange. But they could like you could say that's aliens, or you could say it could be other governments, right?
Yeah.
But I mean, it's sounding more and more like fucking aliens to me.
Okay, who's the other dead guy?
Other dead guy.
Yeah, I want to see how he died.
Daniel K. Inouye.
Can I guess?
Yeah.
Heart attack.
Okay. Also, when you look up Harry Reid, it says people also ask, "Is Harry Reid?" That's just
What?
that's what some people search up.
Is that why
a
you
fun
laugh?
fact?
Yeah, I laughed because I was like, "Is Harry Reid?" Like people are like,
Interesting.
"Is Harry Reid?"
So yeah, Daniel K. Inouye. Inouye is spelled Inouye.
Okay, my phone's just like having the touch disease.
What did it
Just
say?
Give me your phone.
You don't remember? You just read it and you forgot how he died?
No, okay, Harry Reid's still alive.
Yeah.
You're still on
Can
Harry
you pass
Reid?
me your phone?
What's the other guy?
Daniel K. Inouye.
So Elizondo's resignation letter from October echoed these sort of claims. He states that reported phenomena of beyond next generation capabilities need to be understood, especially in regards to intent vis-a-vis the security of America, and ostensibly the rest of us too, right? I mean, if it's threatening America, then it's a good chance it's going to threaten Canada, and if it's coming from outer space, then it's probably just going to threaten the entire friggin' planet.
Well, Dan Inouye was the highest ranking Asian American politician in U.S. history. Which
Good for
means
him.
he's very credible and they're probably aliens. I just want to see how he died.
Okay.
Because it was probably aliens.
So both Harry Reid and Louis Elizondo have stated that the material and phenomena are not known to come from any country. Now this is interesting, not known to come from any country. Without going any further with the statement, they say that the answers simply have not presented themselves. Elizondo's last days in office saw him secure the release of 3 raw videos of aerial anomalies to the public. You can look these up, they're easy to find. Each is a cockpit reporting of objects in the sky, and each of these objects is similar to the oval is similar in their oval-like form. All of these videos end with the objects accelerating away from the military aircraft fast enough to audibly astonish the pilots themselves. So this kind of sounds like what you were describing earlier.
Right.
They just accelerate beyond the skyline super fast.
That's so fucked.
Yeah. So one report issued by AATIP totals 490 pages and goes into detail about UFO sightings around the world over the last several decades. This is what I mentioned earlier. They have this one report. I'm not sure if you can find it online anywhere, but it's close to 490 pages just talking
It's
about
a hell of a book.
just
Probably
talking
the
about
driest read ever.
aerial anomalies. I don't know if it's super dry.
Right. I'm sure.
Like if you're interested in UFOs,
yeah, that's true.
Yeah, you'd probably dig.
Wait,
right
these are
into
all
this.
different accounts, and it's all compiled.
Yeah, compiled stuff
Holy shit!
over the last several decades.
Oh, by the way, he started using wheelchair to preserve his knees, and then received an oxygen concentrator, and then he suffered a minor cut after falling into his apartment, and then next month again hospitalized so they could regulate. It basically died from respiratory complications.
Yeah, they were putting something in his
sounds like
apartment.
they pushed him down the stairs, and his last words were "aloha," which is kind of cool. It's like because he was Asian
Hello
American,
and goodbye.
It harkens back to kind of like
Pearl Harbor.
to Japan and
Brutal.
because he fought on the American side, so that's kind of
Well, the other guy was like
a true Asian American.
They did like some Pearl Harbor tribute.
True Asian
A
American.
true Asian
What?
American fighting against those damn fascists, no matter what. If it's your own countrymen, it's saying if like Germans who fought against the Nazis, it's like it's you gotta give them extra credit because it's like it's their own country people, but they're doing it because it's right.
The Nazis were pretty damn fucked up.
Yeah.
I can't actually say yes, the Japanese did a lot of fucked up things in the war, but I don't see how the empire, the regime itself was actually that bad.
Right.
But that's something else entirely. Yeah. It's not like they had an ideology of extermination. It's just that they were power hungry and they wanted to expand into a huge colonial empire.
Yeah. Yeah, they were more
and incidentally, the British Empire did the same thing.
Right.
So, empires throughout history have done the same thing. So
it's interesting how well they did. Like they adapted so well after losing. They really pulled themselves out of the mud and modernized. Like they still refuse to have nuclear weapons.
They have a defense force, and that's about it.
But they're very peaceful, generally speaking. Like it's in their constitution. It's illegal to have nuclear weapons, but they could do it at any time. They have the capacity to make them at any point, but they choose not to, which is total props. Like
same with Canada, actually.
Yeah.
Canada doesn't have nuclear weapons?
We might be storing a couple.
We gave the technology to both India and Pakistan. Yeah. So we're kind of responsible for that little shitstorm right there.
The uranium that went into the bombs that were used on Japan came from Canada.
I think Saskatchewan, yeah.
Yeah.
Wait, uranium came from Canada?
Yeah, we've got the good stuff.
Uranium is in Canada?
We've got huge uranium mines on the prairies.
How do you how does that even exist?
You just mine the shit out of it. Yeah, I don't know. You have to refine it. You have to
it's in salt, I think. It's in a type of salt.
It's a type of salt?
Middle of the prairies, yeah.
And if you use salt on your friggin' eggs, you're gonna get dead?
No.
It's possible. If it's refined salt on your eggs. No, I don't know. It's obviously crazy chemistry and physics and shit.
Does it have to be synthesized at all?
Well, it's I don't even know.
So they mine the uranium out of this.
We're here to talk about aliens.
Yeah, you can look it up.
It's pretty insane. It's pretty cool, but the raw resources, raw material came from Canada.
Just never really thought about how uranium is made.
Yeah, it's strange. It just sounds like it comes from the moon.
Yeah, so you mine uranium because it's actually pretty common, and then you enrich it so that's unstable, and that's how you get the radioactive stuff.
What do you enrich it with?
Well, you don't enrich it with anything. You kind of do this little chemistry process where you remove. I think you destabilize the ion. Yeah,
you strip down
like an electron too. I'm not sure how it works exactly. But then if you do it even further, then you change it from uranium to plutonium, which is extremely dangerous. And it messes people up pretty badly. So
might become a superhero.
Yeah, so you turn it into a radioactive thing. You turn something.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. When you dig uranium out of the ground, I'm not going to say is healthy for you, but I don't think it's that dangerous necessarily.
Interesting.
Crazy. And then I think when the bomb actually blows up, you're taking all these electrons and stripping them off or splitting all of them. And it's apparently, like Feynman explained, how it was actually electromagnetic energy that really makes it work. It's not nuclear energy. It's pretty interesting, but it's just like it's some crazy bomb stuff.
Yeah.
Anyways,
yeah. So Elizondo, who was the head of the program for many years, he has since joined a new organization called the To the Stars Academy of Arts and Sciences. So you can look this up as well. It's an interesting little thing. It's basically dedicated to researching UFO stuff. Sounds pretty new, so I'm not sure what they've got going on for them, but
it's interesting that they distinguish themselves from the non-government. Well, I don't know if is that government?
No, it's a private.
No. Right, because there are, I think MUFON is one of the really big ones that LP on the Left guys talk about.
Does that stand for something?
Yeah, it's one of those UFO organizations that I think that's the most credible one, I believe. And there's another couple that are probably the biggest ones, but it's interesting. That's one of the problems kind of throughout those organizations is they're all splintered, and so like each one will have its own data and research, and the members are all disconnected. They need to get together and really work together, I think, and like make it a government effort as well, because I mean,
well, if everybody, if you include anybody who's interested in the subject on the research, even the kind of quacky guys, right? Like they're not always going to be wrong,
right?
Sure, they might be a little more susceptible to, speculation, to put it nicely. But hey, at some points it's gonna be a little kernel of truth.
Yeah, and it's interesting with some of NASA's stuff. They put their data out for the public, and they use like citizen scientists, which is this. It's not actually a put down to call it a citizen scientist, but they help look. They search through the data and help map out planets and things like that. So like on Mars, for example, they'll be looking and helping them with the geography and labeling everything. It's the same. Like if you give all these UFO nerds some data to play with, then they're going to help you sift through it, because a lot of it's just raw data that nobody has any clue about. But yeah, we'll get you fucking aliens one day.
So So it's interesting about the AATIP program in the Pentagon. It had a lot of opposition from skeptics and people who are also ideologically opposed to the research. And I find that a little bit weird. Like, sure, you can just not believe in aliens, but how are you ideologically opposed to
doing experiments and trying to find out? Yeah, that doesn't make any sense.
Sounds weird. But I got that. I think I also got that off the New York Times.
Maybe they just think that it's like a total waste of time. They just don't believe it.
Or maybe they're afraid.
Maybe. Too. But
so as to the findings of the program, Seth Shostak of the SETI Institute, which is badass. I love the
SETI Institute kicks ass.
He makes an astute observation.
Terrestrial.
And I'll quote him here. Yeah. He says, if the evidence was obviously convincing, the investigation would have been broadened but not cut back or terminated. And this is a key point. They cut back they ended the funding of the program 5 years ago. And so he further questions why it was Bigelow who got the funding, not a body of scientific experts like investigations in the mid-20th century had. So there was some predecessors to the AATIP program in the 50s and 60s, and they were a lot more professional about it, seems. Avi Loeb,
right? Well, that's part of the thing, though, is that it's secret for the most part. Right.
Yeah, but why give it to Robert Bigelow? And when I was first doing the research for this, I was like, weird, this friend of the senator got all the funding.
Right. Right. So it could just been funneled right into his wife's pocket or kind of thing.
Yeah. But I mean, I don't think there's too much dirty dealing going on there. Maybe a little bit, but as far as I can tell, it was, coincidence, I guess. Or, hey, my buddy's really interested in this. I don't know.
Right.
Anyways, Avi Loeb, who's the chair of the astronomy department at the University of Harvard, said, extraordinary claims require extraordinary evidence. That's
Fuck yeah.
quote of mine.
Fucking right.
But all the UFO evidence I have seen was marginal or circumstantial. We are much more likely to find evidence of alien life through our telescopes than through visual reports of pilots. That's a pretty astute observation as far as I'm concerned.
That's true. Yeah, I'd say that's probably true. But like, I get what they're saying, but why are they against? Because there are all these accounts. Like, why would you be against studying them?
Yeah, definitely. Just research in and of itself is a good thing, right?
Because they're working with the aliens.
Yeah.
They've already found them, and they're like, no, they don't want to be found out yet.
And maybe conspiracy. Mm-hmm. So I found this last one particularly provocative to me. Sarah Seeger makes a vital point about the UFO debate when she is quoted by Futurism as equating the firm belief in aliens with the belief in a god or gods. Simply put, the evidence is lacking, and therefore the argument for the existence of aliens does not hold water. I think this is particularly important.
Brings up another classic quote that the absence of evidence is not evidence of absence. Just because you lack the evidence doesn't mean it's not there.
Yeah, but it's also very, because I'm firmly against the existence of any deities. That's a pretty foundational viewpoint of mine, and it's certainly a valid criticism of my own sort of cautious belief in the existence of aliens, because there's absolutely no evidence for it.
Right.
But
yeah, I'm definitely an agnostic on the whole alien issue. Like, I'm waiting.
Yeah.
I don't want it to be true. Like, I don't have any stake in it being true or false. But I don't. It would be fun if it was true, but it would also be. That's one of the questions that, like, they say, if there was no life. I think it was Isaac Asimov that said if there was no life, it would almost be just as terrifying or wonderful if there was other life, right?
Yeah.
In the universe.
Yeah, and that's kind of the same with me. Same how I feel. I don't want there to be life, but at the same time, I think it'd be kind of terrifying if we were truly the only ones.
Right. And it's almost equally terrifying though if you find out, holy shit, there's other stuff out there.
Yeah, it'd be even worse if it turns out that they were all wiped out. Right. By something, by themselves or whatever. Right. I don't know. Mars. So I just have this last thing to say about this UFO thing. There seems to be a serious misconception about the statements regarding the existence of aliens that someone like myself might make, and the belief that flying saucers have dropped little green men into the American Southwest who then ran strange physiological experiments on the local population. These two ideas are not at all the same. The Drake equation as presented by Carl Sagan convinces me of the statistical likelihood of the former, while a complete lack of solid evidence makes me highly doubtful of the latter. I don't doubt that I can speak for many skeptical observers of the UFO debate when I say I would be genuinely surprised if aliens do not exist, though I can't say that I'm aware of any evidence which conclusively states that they do. Right. And that's basically the best summing up of
healthy Gnosticism.
Yeah. It's the best summing up of the
agnosticism.
Healthy agnosticism.
Yeah. But yeah, I think because I feel like when they say that it's the same as believing in deities or gods, it's like, well, it's completely different. We're not talking about something supernatural. We're talking about things in the universe that may or may not exist, and whether or not there's evidence for them. Yeah. Right. Like we're not talking about like something supernatural. We're talking about something that is natural, part of the natural world.
Yeah. So I've got this one superb infographic from Futurism. I'll make sure that the link goes up on the video description when we post it. It's titled "Why Haven't We Found Aliens? An Analysis of the Problem." I should say, the active search for extraterrestrial intelligence, which is the SETI Institute, has been ongoing for half a century. To date, no ET signals from stellar systems have ever been detected. Here are popular theories on why our search has come up empty. The first one is called the rare earth theory. Basically, and I'm quoting from all of this infographic here, all the credits due to Futurism. So The rare earth theory states that basically we're unique. The rare earth hypothesis argues that planets with complex life, like Earth, are extremely rare and that intelligent extraterrestrial life is highly improbable. Hence, we are one of a kind.
Right. Like not even intelligent life, but life itself is extremely rare.
Yeah.
But then intelligent life is a whole nother step.
Yeah.
Because,
so that kind of speaks to the Drake equation a little bit, but
yeah.
I'm not a fan of the rare earth theory.
Right.
It's just like there are so goddamn many places out in the universe.
Tell me what's so rare about Earth.
Yeah.
What's so rare about Earth? Absolutely nothing, except that we have a bit of water, and that's not rare
at all. Because we're already looking at other planets within our near
our
orbit,
own solar system that are
near to our own solar system.
Yeah,
like not in our solar system, but close to.
Well,
I think it's
within,
like Proxima Centauri or something, or
there's some that are really
remember.
Close.
But there are a whole bunch which are a lot like Earth, and they have the habitable life conditions as we know it.
I mean, there's moons
Goldilocks
in the solar
planet.
system.
Exactly.
Yeah,
exactly.
But there's moons within our solar system that have basically the conditions that life could go live there if we sent it there.
It's like Europa or Io.
I think both, and then Enceladus as well. And, but yeah, carry on.
So the next
also
theory,
the thing in the Goldilocks zone, the idea, it seems like the last 20-30 years, the criteria for the Goldilocks zone has gotten bigger and bigger the more we find out. So instead of just being Earth-sized water, this and that, the life we're finding life can exist in a lot more places than we previously thought. For example, on moons, it doesn't have to be a planet. It could be a moon. It could be a small moon. You look at tardigrades, and those things can exist in places that you would assume life could not exist, but it can. So the Goldilocks zone has, in a sense, expanded, which better prospects for life in other places.
So the next theory is called the Gaian bottleneck, and basically they didn't survive. ET just didn't survive. The Gaian bottleneck hypothesis by astrobiologist Dr. Aditya Chopra suggests that alien beings are all dead. They simply didn't make it. Life forms on habitable planets, they just failed to emerge quickly enough to stabilize the planet and pave the way for more life. So that's kind of interesting. The next one's called the Great Filter. Earth was subjected to the Great Filter, 5 mass extinction events, but nevertheless evolved complex creatures. What if all habitable planets were hit with killer asteroids, scorched by solar flares, torn apart by geological upheavals, seared by supernova blasts or gamma ray burst radiation, and that of all worlds, only Earth successfully hurdled the stumbling blocks? So, yeah, that kind of messes up the whole statistical probability.
Right. Yeah, we are really, regardless, we're on a knife edge. We know that life could have kept existing on Earth, but we were pretty close to getting wiped out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But either way, it's still, we are one example, and this, I think it doesn't make it impossible. But yeah, there's so many chances for it to get killed off.
Mm-hmm.
It's pretty insane.
So the next one's called the Great Silence, and this one's a little bit saddening. Alas, we're not worth it. The Great Silence hypothesis posits that advanced beings who belong to a Type 3 civilization on the Kardashev scale, able to harness the energy output of a whole galaxy, simply do not reach out to insignificant carbon-based humans. Why bother with Type 0 bipeds? The next theory is called Early Birds. Earth had a head start. In a study, Dr. Peter Beruzzi said that compared to all the planets that will ever form in the universe, the Earth is actually quite early. The last star will burn out in 100 trillion years from now, and 92% of planets are yet to be born. We are the first, but not necessarily the last.
Right.
That's kind of interesting.
Yeah,
are we destined to be the progenitor race?
Right. I mean, and it's yeah, you could go either way. You could say we're the last, we're the first, but that's actually really interesting with Earth, with how fast life got started on Earth. I think Earth is like something like 4 or 5 billion years old, and life basically got started right away. I mean, not right away, but within a billion years of the planet being there, which it sounds like a long time, but
Yeah, something like that.
so for 4/5 of the Earth's life, there's been like life snapped up pretty fast. It's pretty insane.
Yep. So the next one's called Not Life as We Know It. We've had it all wrong all the time. ETs may not be biological beings like us at all. Noted astronomer Lord Martin Rees said that they might be machines, not organic creatures. So we should be looking for solar harvesting, non-carbon based structures instead of listening for radio signals, which is interesting.
Right. Yeah, it's possible that, say, we make robots. That's one of the things. If like we start sending little satellites out, or little mini micro satellite things, they're super tiny, and they can go basically start building its own
Nano.
Yeah, like it can start building itself. So it'll go build a 3D printer, and then it'll get a thing to go get some stuff, and then and then the robots will start colonizing before the life forms that made the robots even do.
Yeah, I think it's also an interesting possibility that we might actually upload our own consciousnesses into AI and thus become non-organic life forms that way.
Yeah,
there's already that like starting. It's called like H plus, like human plus.
Right.
We were talking about it in when I took that philosophy of the mind course.
There's these first people are starting being born.
Yeah.
That you modified.
You can like change your eye color.
Yeah.
Like you can choose if your baby.
But I'm talking about being completely shed of our bodies.
Yeah, but that's what they're starting to try to do.
Yeah, it's getting there. I mean, it's like that thing with you get a hole in your sock and you patch it up. You get another hole and you patch it up until your favorite pair of socks is no longer. There's nothing left of your original sock.
Like my legs are gone. Better get cyborg legs. And all of a sudden my heart's gone. Better get a cyborg heart.
And then your brain.
It's just
you get to the point where you can put a robot brain and you live forever.
Bro, it's like Dr. Dip Dop.
I love Dr. Dip Dop.
Well, and you know about that. There's a
Strangelove.
No, Dr.
What?
Doctor
Wrench.
The Grinch?
No, Screwhammer Wrench. It's like the like it was like a cartoon, and then it was like a
somebody
movie.
knows what you're talking about.
No, it's a fucking thing. It was like a kids movie, you know?
No.
No, what the fuck?
Oh, Inspector Gadget.
Yes.
Oh.
Dr. Wrench?
I don't know.
Inspector Gadget.
Because it's a gadget. I don't know.
Yeah.
That's
so
gonna be a thing.
Yeah.
There's I think there's an experiment going on right now. So some guy managed to. Obviously he's a surgeon. He managed to do a successful transplant of a head onto a human cadaver, like human head to a human cadaver, and it worked. And so there's this one guy. He's got like a normal sized head, but a terribly small body, and he's gonna have his head transplanted onto a donated body.
Wasn't that
so
like a Russian guy that was gonna happen?
Yeah,
and he was gonna like.
Did it happen?
They're going to cut his head off.
Yeah.
And put it on another body.
Yeah.
How fucking terrifying is that? And then what happens when does your consciousness?
I think that guy's gonna have some psychological hurdles to get over.
Would the brain be so fucking smart you literally just feel like you got a new body and it's all you?
Yeah. What if the body rejects the head?
Right. Exactly. Like, that could happen. Or what if
How do you move? Like, what about your spinal cord?
It's
because everything's connected to where it should be, right? So artery to artery, spinal cord to spinal cord.
Yeah, but like we can't put a new spinal cord for the people who have spinal injuries now.
I think you can. It's just really expensive.
Are you sure?
You might be able to.
I think
don't
so.
know.
Well,
but
that's
either way.
cool.
They're seriously talking about doing it. I thought they were actually already did that, but
that's horrifying. You imagine having to
terrifying.
You doing that?
You're going down. You're going under. We're gonna chop your fucking head off.
Yeah, Justin, we're gonna fucking chop your goddamn head off.
I think that's pretty unelegant the way you're stating it. It's not gonna be chopping.
Hey, buddy, you're gonna be. No, but that is.
We're gonna make it just a
that
little
is terrifying.
incision.
They're probably gonna tell you like your chances of dying are very high, but we're gonna do this.
Yeah,
and like
that's why this guy's a volunteer.
Oh yeah, it's gotta be. But like, imagine that they literally have your head in their hand, and then they're gonna start trying to put it back onto a body.
Yeah, I think they have to put it into a freezer for a bit.
You go into a freezer.
Oh.
Your head, just your head.
Your head goes into a freezer.
You'll be
will
back
throw
in a
your
bit.
body away.
We'll be back in a bit.
Well, yeah, that's another thing that I'm thinking about. Like, this guy's gonna wake up, assuming a successful surgery,
I really hope he does.
and he recovers.
God.
He's gonna look at his old body and be like, hey, that's me.
That's how I
Over
would look
there.
if I were dead.
Without a
there.
head.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, what the
Yeah,
shit?
that's
That's gonna be psychologically damaging.
It's
Oh
true.
yeah, it's like your own dead body, except the head. That's so crazy. It's literally a dead body.
Yeah.
Oh God.
So anyways,
I wonder
back-
if he's gonna see it. Probably not. He'd probably want to. You know?
I mean, I would.
Because he can have sex with
Creepy.
himself.
Oh, what the hell?
Hey, come on. Somebody had
That's
to,
okay.
Somebody had to say it.
Necrophilia plus
That's like.
self
That's
incest.
like masturbation, kind
What?
of.
I guess it's just
But it's not,
masturbation.
because it's a completely separate body.
Yeah, I guess so. But wait, what's
Wait,
the
if he
legality of
so,
that?
So if he's successful surgery
Would it
and
be
he jerks himself
self-mutilation?
off afterwards,
Is it gay?
well,
No.
wait,
Yeah.
does the
Wait.
body consent?
Yeah, that's what I was saying.
Wait,
What-
but
is
hold
the
on a
body
second.
still
It's going to
his?
be
Is the
so-
original body still his? Like you
yeah,
could say,
and that's what I was gonna say. It probably is still his.
Well, no, I'm not talking about the original body. I'm talking about the body post transplant. So his
Yeah,
new
but
body.
like this new body, but it's his now new body. And it's like,
But
what if
is
he
it?
has to be like, oh,
So
old
it's like
body,
if
am I
you
allowed to
drove
have
your
sex
car,
with this person?
if you drove your car into your other car, you'd sue
What the fuck?
yourself
Yeah. What?
because they're both yours.
Oh, this is too confusing. Let's go back to the.
That's
Let's go back to the
The
aliens.
legal implications of changing bodies.
Thing. This is
Wow.
that's too much.
It's so crazy though. Just
Honestly,
the thought of that. Is
So
terrifying.
the next
It's a
theory
thing.
is about why we haven't found aliens yet. It's called the long road ahead of us. Basically, we've got a long way to go and a lot more searching to do. SETI has barely scratched the
I think
surface
honestly
of the radio
that might
universe.
be it. I think
Yeah.
that's the one.
What?
There
Got a
are
long
many
search?
more
Yeah.
wavelengths to scan, so we shouldn't get our hopes up yet. And then the last one's called In a Galaxy Far, Far Away. 46.5 billion light years is the distance to the edge of the observable universe. Yeah, that's really far. We've scanned for ET signals to just around 40,000 light years. Remember, the universe is 46.5 billion years, and we've only scanned 40,000. We've only scanned 40,000 light years from Earth. We haven't even out past the bounds of our galaxy, which is 100,000 light years in width.
Yeah.
Alien intelligence could simply be too far away for our current technology to reach.
Yeah, away in space. They're removed in space,
Yeah.
or time. So they could have existed billions of years ago, and died off.
Yeah, honestly,
And
I think
there's,
those
you
last two theories are the most likely.
Yeah, definitely.
I don't know. I think aliens are real.
Right now,
Yeah.
Yeah.
do you think they visited Earth?
Yeah, I think they fucked around.
Are
Maybe
you
like,
serious?
maybe like I don't know. Maybe didn't
Yeah,
like
they-
walk around or something. But
What?
like, I think that they've come and like looked at and been like, okay,
Is that what you think those sightings are?
yeah,
So you think I saw aliens?
yeah.
This is fucked.
I'm pretty sure.
Breaking news.
You saw an alien.
Breaking news. I've seen an alien.
I'm pretty sure that's fucking aliens, man.
I don't know.
Well, like
But
what?
why would they have lights?
What's
It's such
like-
the thing
Because they're driving around. Like
no,
they
no,
don't want to
but
get
I think
hit. Fucking
I think
space
if you're
junk.
look at Star Wars. They don't have lights on their shit
They-
unless it's
they
inside.
do.
No, but they're not lights on the outside
they
of the
do.
ship.
Yeah, they kind of do.
They
Do
do.
Anyways, I just want to mention something real quick. What the Drake equation is. It's an equation for
It's
finding out the
important.
number of broadcasting civilizations, like the number of civilizations which are approximately in the same level of technological capabilities as we are. So the equation goes thusly, and I'll explain it afterwards.
You just plug in your variables.
Yeah, n equals r times f to the power of p times n to the power of e times f t. No, it is n equals r times fp times ne times fl times fi times fc times l. So now let's look at what that
It
means.
sounds like bullshit.
So n equals the number of broadcasting civilizations. R equals the average rate of formation of suitable stars per year in the Milky Way galaxy. FP is the fraction of stars that form planets. NE is the average
most.
number. Yeah.
Most have multiple.
So it's the average number of habitable planets per star. FL is the fraction of habitable planets where life emerges. FI is the fraction of habitable planets where life is intelligent. And FC is the fraction of planets with intelligent life capable of interstellar communication.
Right.
And then L is years this civilization remains detectable.
Right.
So,
and then you can also add to that, because that's like a fairly old equation, you can add moons to that, not just the planets per star, but the moons per planet and then per system.
Even
and then,
asteroids.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, totally. There can be like rogue planets floating around with no star, and they can still have their own energy source and have life on them.
Yeah.
Which is badass. You'll never see it coming. There's no star to look for. It's just a planet floating around middle of buttfuck nowhere with little creatures on it.
Yeah. So this equation, it was written in 1961 by Frank Drake, and it is, as Justin said, it's since evolved.
But it's the nice thing about it though is you can plug in your own variables. It's not, it's not the same every time, but you can have good guesses. Like you go to scientists, you ask them, what's the frequency of stars forming in the Milky Way? You'll get a pretty quick guesstimate. Actually, they're probably pretty good on that one, and then the other ones, you can fudge the numbers. You can say, okay, probably a little bit more planets per stars, because you'll just assume there's going to be moons and things. And then the whole thing about what's the chance of their life being on those planets goes up with the things we know now. Things like tardigrades, like if those exist, the chance of life existing, for me, I think it goes up, because
I'm
they're not
fairly confident that life exists elsewhere in the universe. We haven't discovered any sort of evidence,
right.
And as I said earlier, it just comes down to the statistical likelihood that there is indeed extraterrestrial life. I think
it's a really weird assumption to make, to say that there isn't any other life.
Yeah. Now,
to just assume that we're the only life.
Well, again, you have to see that assumption is entirely based on the lack of evidence.
Right.
And so in and of itself is valid, even if it's, according to the statistical
but
analysis
it's one of those
of
things,
the Drake
like,
equation is unlikely, but still, it's valid because there's no evidence. But I can't
but to
say
rule
that.
it out, I think to rule it out is just, to me, it's so silly. It's like, it's a thing, I think it's Neil deGrasse Tyson, he says, like, you take a tablespoon and scoop in the ocean and you're not going to find any life in there. Well, yeah, of course. That's what we've done with space. We've taken one scoop out of it. But even then, in the ocean, there's little microbes in there. Like, there's tons of life in that little scoop, which is actually pretty insane.
Yep.
I think, shit's fucked. They're probably out there.
Yeah.
It's proof.
I'm sorry, I was just looking at a picture of Snoop Dogg and he's wearing a hat that says "Make America Crip Again."
Nice. Honestly, though, he sounds like an alien. But like, we're not. I think the interesting thing is we're not even touching on the conspiracy side. We're just looking at.
I've been touching conspiracies all day long.
Well, those guys were probably killed by aliens.
Dude, they were.
Yeah, probably.
I feel like it's suspy enough that they both didn't die from natural old age.
Well, they pretty much did.
Okay.
Well, like,
the one was a plane crash. The other one was old as fuck.
That's suspy. Other one could have gotten poisoned apartment. Like,
no, he had a small fall. He was already old as fuck in a wheelchair in the Senate.
Yeah, or they like made his wheelchair break.
His wheelchair was fine.
You're fine. Like, you can be fine in a wheelchair.
Yeah.
You can live for hundreds of.
all right, conspiracies. You can live for hundreds of years if you don't drink fluoride in the water, and
not hundreds of years.
Honestly, we should look into fluoride a little bit, though. People, let's do it. Like, it's a poison. It's just simply is a poison. Why is it in my water?
I don't let the dentist use it on me.
No, I try not to.
Whatever.
I've asked them.
Stupid already.
And it's weird because, like, people say in very small doses it's good for your teeth, but then in large doses it's bad for your teeth. So I'm like, what? And then just in
there's
general,
a little bit of fluoride in the Colgate toothpaste that I used, but I tried Crest one time and it was disgusting.
Yeah, I'm not a huge fan of Crest.
So I just fucking.
Sorry, Crest. You suck.
Crest kind of sucks.
Sorry, Crest.
I don't know the difference. I just put it on my teeth.
Yeah, this episode has been brought to you by Colgate.
The Fresh Maker.
The Fresh Good. It's good for your teeth.
Yeah. This episode has been brought to you by Christmas.
Yeah, the Christmas season is pretty much fucking. Oh, we went to that place on Quadra, that crazy or just off of Quadra. It's like massive floats and shit. It was absolutely insane. Those people need to retire,
Honestly.
which is what they're doing. But
they're old.
no, I mean, like,
it's amazing what they.
if I was,
I mean, it's a lot, but it's like it's pretty.
it's
fucking
outrageous. No, it's crazy. It's like a little village Christmas thing going on.
No
but,
Christmas thing.
Yeah, it's that time of year where, you know, we're just, it's Christmas time again, and, you know, snow here in Canada.
Sort of Christmas.
Yeah.
Close to New Year.
At least we had a little bit of snow for Christmas, which is really
that
nice.
was wild.
Dude, we still got snow on the ground.
Yeah.
Anyways, it's time for us to wrap up.
We're wrapping up, everyone. Look to the skies. Look to the skies.
To the stars.
Look to the skies and listen to the Meatheads podcast.
Yeah, fuck yeah. And, you know, if anyone...
I think this actually has been a serious step up in terms of quality because you know, kind of figured our shit out.
Fuck yeah. Yeah, Lily's here. She's here. She's doing our bookkeeping.
Lily has rescued this entire program.
Honestly,
she's factoring
from the
hard.
abysmal shit.
She got to the bottom of these people getting killed by aliens.
It's true.
Also, though, like, if anyone's got some crazy alien stories, we'll probably do ghosts soon. I think we want to do a ghost tour and go, and we'll talk about the history and shit, and be really badass, because I want to do a ghost tour.
Ghost tours in Victoria.
Oh, we gotta go do Doris.
I don't know if we're going to do that for the next one, but...
No, it'll be in the future.
It'll come up.
Look forward to it, motherfuckers.
Doris Day haunt our asses.
Yeah, well, I hope the demons come and we'll fuck with them.
Hey,
no, I'm
demons,
welcoming.
We should do a seance, or we should...
No, I'm fucking not doing that.
I've got some good ghost stories too, man.
Buy Spirit Box.
I've got some good ghost stories.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Fuck yeah. Honestly, though, no, we're doing... So, in the future, we're doing ghosts. We're hopefully going to do a ghost tour so we can actually, like, talk about a little tour and some history and shit. But then...
I think we've also got to talk about some problems in academia as well, right?
Shit, yeah.
Are you going to take that one
loads of it? I'll try to. I'm down. Fuck yeah.
I've got just the guy who we should have on for that, too.
Oh, is Carrie?
David Moffat, if you're listening.
Oh, cool.
Shout out to you, motherfucker.
But I want to say, so if anyone's got some fucking crazy ass alien stories, any experiences, anyone you heard from people, like, drop in the comments or send us some shit, because it's awesome. Like, I like hearing about that stuff. Like, we've got buddies. I know people that have experiences, and I like hearing that shit. You know, it's cool. Like, and we believe you. You know, we're here for you people. You know, don't come out of the shadows. You know, we're here to fucking give you all the support. You know. This is traumatic. Like, you know, when I was like, fuck, like, I was thinking about it, I was actually surprised after I'd seen it how little I talked about it. I was just like, because what can you do other than blabber, right?
Yep.
But, like, we'd love to hear that shit. Like, subscribe. Fuck you.
I think it's a pretty good way to end it right there.